Now, let's bring you our very first story. Now, Interior Minister Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak has announced that the IGP has been tasked with reviewing footage regarding the violence during the rerun vote in Abeluma North. Chaos erupted at some polling stations on Friday, July 11th, during the election to elect a member of parliament. The Interior Minister was addressing the nation on achievements in his sector at the Government Accountability Series, maiden edition at the Jubilee House.
Needs to be mindful about the activities of vigilantism. And I can assure you that not my party, not any group will we sit and allow to see the resurgence of vigilantism. I have spoken to the IGP family on all the, happenings of Abeluma North. The videos have been forwarded to him. We've instructed him to act swiftly, bring the perpetrators to book. We are not going to condone whether people within our party or outside our party into going around doing anything untoward. We can assure the public that we will ensure, under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, no such group will be allowed to form. But these are guys who commit this sin and they vanish from the system. But we have to take time to track them. But assurance is that we are not going to allow this to go unpunished. Unless they flee the country. So long as they are around, they should be rest assured. The law will have to take its course. Because we cannot allow this to happen in our country. And you can be rest assured that, and I trust in the professionalism of the IGP and his team, that they are going to do a good job.
Let's bring you some other stories, this time in relation to that ongoing saga involving the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Isaba Tokono, because a whopping $10 million is what she's asking for be paid to her by the country as compensation for moral and reputational damages. The suspended CJ, who is currently before the ECOWAS Court of Justice, argues, among many things, that her continued suspension violates her rights to a fair hearing guaranteed by the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. The hearing, which happened this morning, follows an ongoing legal battle by Justice Tokono after filing cases both at the Supreme Court and the High Court. But what are the reliefs being sought by the suspended CJ? Let's bring you details this afternoon, and then we will seek as well to get updates on that case happening at the ECOWAS Court. But essentially, these are the reliefs out of the many she's seeking. The first, a declaration that her suspension violates her human rights. And if you know, the Chief Justice has been very categorical on that suspension. If you look at the suit she filed at the Supreme Court, amongst many other things, she said she didn't find that suspension worthy or meeting constitutional requirements. One of the many arguments she put before the court, despite the court not agreeing with her, she's continued in that line and has taken that to the ECOWAS Court as well. Also, she's demanding a declaration that the panel instituted to investigate allegations of misconduct against her was not constituted to guarantee its independence. You will recall again that as part of that suit she took to the Supreme Court, she was seeking to have all 5 members of this Article 146 committee, essentially the court should rule that they did not stand or have the right merits to sit on that committee and investigate her and the many allegations brought against her. She as well is demanding an order directed at the country, that's the Republic of Ghana, to lift her suspension and restore her to the position of Chief Justice. That's the argument she's put before the ECOWAS Court. And then the big one, an award of $10 million as compensation for moral and reputational damages suffered as a result of her suspension. That's the argument as has been put forward by the Chief Justice before the ECOWAS Court. And I mentioned that we have have it on good word that hearing was this morning. We'll follow through and bring you updates of it. But let's bring you some other stories right now, because the majority leader and member of parliament for Bawku Central, Mahama Ayariga, has strongly condemned the conduct of military personnel in Bawku on Sunday, July 13, 2025. Now, in a press statement issued on Monday, July 14, Mr. Mahama Ayariga described the actions of the military as unacceptable. He's been speaking as well, and we just want to walk you through briefly the argument he's been putting forth. It's been one of the many things the Interior Minister has been speaking to. It was one of the many questions he was asked, the situation in Bawku, and he says that they are not, out of the many things they are seeking to do, not to approach it in a piecemeal manner, but to comprehensively deal with it. Here's what the majority leader has been saying, but we'll start off first with the defense minister, because he as well was on Facebook and had something to say. He's ordered thorough investigations into the latest violent incident in Bawku on Sunday, July 13 as well. And here's what the defense minister has to say, that he directed thorough investigation into the recent attacks and promised to take swift action based on recommendations. And we know as well that the majority leader has been speaking about. Here's what the defense minister, Dr. Edward Omane Boama, has been saying, that they've got wind of the happenings. There's been the order for thorough investigation to be carried through, and action will be taken based on the recommendation that will come forth from the investigation expected to take place. Albert Yeliang is the National Network Coordinator of the West African Network for Peace Building Ghana. He's joined us via the phone line. Let's speak to him briefly. Mr. Yelia, thank you for speaking to us. How do you take news of this military brutality in the Bawku enclave?
Thank you. It's unfortunate these incidents are happening because there have been a number of conversations as far as this is concerned. And the expectation from the public and the stakeholders in this is that anytime there are such difficult challenges in terms of managing the situation, the actions from the security would be proportionate to the happenings or the actions by maybe any civilian member of the communities. So it's unfortunate, and we would expect that some measures are put in place. There is some information to the public and the people affected to be able to know what exactly happened. Otherwise, it doesn't send a good signal to those involved in this conflict, those who might have been the victims of the perpetrations, and then also the public, and indeed others who may want to take advantage of such actions. So for me, I think that we need a lot more from the security setup. We also need the cooperation of the populations, and including the families of those involved, so that we don't have this issue escalating. It is not the first, because there have been a number of instances where there has been infractions, between the security apparatuses on the ground and also the civilian populations.
You rightly mentioned not the first time we're having incidents of this nature. Why is it repeating itself? Is it the case that enough punishment is not being meted out, or we're not hearing of these punishment being meted out? Hence, we'll continue to see these infractions by persons in uniform.
I think these might be occurring from several fronts. The populations might be taking certain actions that require interventions by the security. But then it may also be that the security members deployed for the situation may not use what we call proportionate force, in terms of how they react to the situation. And to the extent that we can have such brutalities. I do not want to maybe assume that it is a matter of trying to indicate deterrence by showing that they have more power, over the civilian populations. If that is the case, and there has not been any information to the public, and especially those involved, and all those other members who have stake in the Bawku conflict, to know that this is what happened and these were the reasons for the reactions of the security to that extent in terms of infractions or brutality. It may continue to send a picture. What then can mean is that other people who intend to undertake such actions that will court or bait the security to act in that manner may design certain strategies that will enable them to do so. And so I think that we need the security agencies, and there has been a number of communication from those quarters that indicate that they were doing their own investigations and measures were being taken against all those who might be found culpable of the incident. Nevertheless, I did not have that certainty that this is made public or to the people affected. And so we have several elements within the communities, people who are out of the communities and may have similar tendencies. And so if they see that there is a certain gap in terms of capacity, in terms of how they react to such situations, that then can call public attention and also further escalate the situation. They would probably be having the intention to do so. So we need to be very mindful of the various interests involved and how we have our capacities, we deploy our capacities to react to certain situations in order that we can curtail the situation. Bear in mind that there is an Otunfo-led process that is ongoing. How do we support that process by our actions is very important,
Right. Let me bring you to the conflict proper and the concerns which continue to come out of it every now and then. Now we're hearing from the Member of Parliament for the area who's making the case that there could be infiltrations within the military who are pushing through and making sure that this conflict doesn't come to an end. They've infiltrated the military, they are politicizing and further destabilizing the situation in Bawku. Is this a situation perhaps we haven't averted our minds to even as we continue to try and deal with the conflict situation in the area?
I mean, in conflict situations like this, we have what we call, I don't want to use certain terms, but there are people who would want to benefit. It might be the group itself. It might be certain elements within the group, including those who are managing the situation in terms of strategic direction, and also those who might be deployed on the ground. There have been instances where individuals have been, accused of certain actions, and we understand that the security apparatuses were taking actions against them in order maybe to remove them from the locations or from operations and all that. Once some of those things, we have human beings in certain groupings undertaking certain actions. There could be the group interest, there could be the one who is instructing the group, or his own interest. There could also be elements that are in operations also having their interest. So the important thing is, how do we do an introspection of who we deploy to the area? For example, if we deploy people who are from the factions, and depending on their capacity to be impartial in dealing with it, they may have the tendency to be aligned, and we need to be mindful of such things. There could also be people who are profiting from the process. They may have linkages with people who probably are selling arms, are benefiting from economic situations. What we call illicit economic activities can be taking place, and people could be leading that, maybe internal or external, the conflict or operations. So we need to do a lot more investigation and probably to find out, are there elements within the deployment who may be having certain relations or having certain interests or tendencies in terms of their operations or involvement, and then see how we deploy members who are there to make sure that this is stopped, we don't have repeated incidents of violence, and that engagements can go on so that eventually we get to a conclusion on this matter.
Right then, Mr. Yeliang, thank you very much for speaking to us. That's Albert Yeliang speaking to us this afternoon on the latest having to do with Bawku.
Now, when his eyesight failed, his senses of touch, smell, taste, and sound came to his rescue. To help him navigate the rough waves of the ocean, Portia Gabo tells the story of Stephen Ashley, Jamestown only blind fisherman who's putting fish on tables in our homes.
In the coastal community of Jamestown in Accra, among hundreds of fishermen, a remarkable individual stands out.
I am the only blind fisherman in Jamestown. If you ask of me, you'll be told I am Sammy Steve Wonder. At fishing, I am called Blind Fisherman Soldier because I work like a soldier at sea.
Stephen Ashley is a special fisherman. He has spent 25 years navigating the seas and advocating for sustainable fishing practices. Stephen tells me he was not born blind.
I became blind during an argument with a friend in 1989. In the 90s, I noticed a change in my eyesight. My father did not have money to seek medical treatment. With time, I was unable to see.
He earned the nickname Stevie Wonder after he had a chance encounter with a US-based musician during his visit to Ghana in the 1990s.
Oh, I just got to say I love you. I just got to say, oh, I love you, love you.
Persons with disabilities often face significant barriers in Ghana's fishing industry. These include lack of accessibility, because fishing vessels and equipment are often inaccessible to them. But he has overcome these challenges.
Some people treat you harshly because you are blind. You must respect a blind person and draw them closer to you when you meet one.
His colleague fishermen help him out when the need arises. With 25 years experience in fishing, Stephen cannot boast of owning a canoe.
The blind fisherman soldier.
I want to own a canoe and a fishing net to prove that disability does not limit one's capabilities or potential. You do not need to beg on the street.
His wife is proud of his achievements. I love him. If I didn't love him, I would not have spent my life with him. I have 2 kids with him. His colleague fishermen at Jamestown all agree on the need to have an inclusive fisheries sector.
At midnight, he comes to the seashore unaided. He is helped when climbing the canoe. I treat him well after fishing.
Stephen may have lost his sight, but not his vision. His story demonstrates the power of inclusion, diversity, resilience, determination, and passion. His dream for the fisheries sector is to see more persons with disabilities included and empowered to fully participate.
The BWB, I'm on time for a ferry. Odonumusio Chompe. The BWB, Panana, 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 Panana.
Very heartwarming. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. It's still News Central here on TV3. Now, with President Muhammad's directive to hold metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives accountable for sanitation performance, local leaders are stepping up efforts to address waste management challenges. In Asokwa, the Municipal Assembly has launched an initiative to desilt choked gutters along major roads, a move aimed at preventing floods and improving public health. The Assembly has declared sanitation a top priority this year with a resolution to tackle the issue head-on. For more on this, we're joined by our correspondent, Ibrahim Abubakar. Ibrahim, what prompted the intensified focus on the desilting gutters, particularly in Asokwa?
Exactly, because of the president directive. In fact, Asokwa is one of the few, I would say, municipalities that can be termed as affluent ones, because most of the areas are of elite class, yet sanitation remains a headache for these areas, especially in areas from Stadium to Asokwa thereabout. You realize that most of the drains there, or I would say the gutters, have been heavily choked. So anytime it rains, all the water ends up on the road, thereby flooding it. So this time around, the MC, together with some even local leaders, have decided that for them to be able to maintain their job, and also when it comes to the scoring of performance of sanitation, they have collaborated with the prison services to release some inmates for them to be able to clear all these choked gutters, so that anytime it rains, then there will be free flow of water. In fact, it's not only the gutters, they are just trying to make sure that they improve the sanitation situation in the entire municipality. That's how come the MC is even talking about launching what they call Operation Clean Your Frontage. So all businesses, all homes, you have some meters that you have to make sure that you tidy up the place, so that we improve sanitation. When it comes to improving sanitation, it means health will also be improved. Let's listen to what the MCE, Amo Kamel, has been telling us.
Wall, so that at least we can score higher mark. For now, Zoomline is no more working in the cleaning of the roads and other things. So it's up to us, for us to employ people to make sure our environment are clean. And it's my aim to make sure that Asokwa Municipal grow in terms of sanitation, so that at least when the scoring comes on board, or when there is time to score us, we will always get higher marks in. From next month going, I will launch Operation Clean Your Frontage, so that businesses, entities, organizations and churches will clean their frontages, so that we can get a cleaner and a neat Asokwa Municipal.
Now, Ibrahim, to what extent has work been done today in relation to this initiative?
Well, I can tell you that from Stadium to Asokwa, around the mall area, going to Ahinsan, most of these drainages have been cleaned. Going to Ahinsan, most of these drainages have been cleaned. In fact, on it. So it means that now when it rains, it will be able to move. From here, they will move into other areas to ensure that these activities are done. In fact, this is a laudable initiative for most residents, but the concern has been whether if they clean their frontage, when they will have vehicles coming to collect all those refuse. Because they said often similar initiatives have been launched, yet they clean their frontage, then the refuse will be left there for a longer period. But the Assembly is giving them that assurance that they will make sure they use the drip machines and collect all this refuse, just so they will improve the sanitation within the municipality and also ensure that health is improved in the area.
And really how residents in Asokwa are responding to this?
Well, like I said, very, very laudable initiative. They are embracing it because they believe that when you tackle sanitation. It's not just about beautifying the environment, but it's also about tackling sanitation-related diseases. It means health will be improved, but their concern, which they think must be that it's also about tackling sanitation-related diseases. It means concern, which must.
Well, Ibrahim Abubakar there joining us from Asokwa, where the Municipal Assembly there has taken the initiative to clean the area, tying into the broader objective of improving sanitation across the country and across the Ashanti region. We can now bring you other stories. CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Kenneth Ashigbe, is urging stricter enforcement of laws targeting illegal mercury imports. Addressing a seminar for judges, police, prosecutors and investigators in Takoradi, he emphasized Ghana's long-standing commitment to the Minamata Convention, which seeks to safeguard human health and the environment from mercury pollution. Irama Smith has more.
Ghana's commitment to the Minamata Convention, which seeks to safeguard human health and the environment from mercury pollution, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Kenneth Ashigbe, noted that mercury continues to enter the country, mainly fueling illegal small-scale mining operations. Highlighting the serious health dangers, especially as it accumulates up the food chain, he called on law enforcers, particularly border officials, to intensify efforts to block its entry. He also appealed to the judiciary to treat mercury-related offences with the gravity they deserve.
So it's important that our law enforcement agencies treat it with that seriousness, and also that for our judges, when these cases come before them, they take it very, very seriously. And again, when somebody comes before you with mercury, you should then know that by extension, that person is dealing with a situation of illegal mining. And so not only should you deal with it from that point of view, but also you need to throw Act 703 and Act 995 at the particular person. And so that's a very serious thing to do.
The Chamber of Mines CEO, who was unhappy about how a recent case involving an assault on a journalist covering illegal mining was handled, urged the Attorney General and the Ghana Journalists Association to review the case and, among other things, investigate the roles of the police and the prosecutors involved.
How is it that you get a journalist who is assaulted in covering an illegal mining activity, and then all you just get is that the accused person, who fortunately is arrested, is only charged with assault and battery, and then you have a paltry, fine that is given to this person, and this person walks away. When we have the issues of the person having sinned against the Minerals and Mining Act, and the penalties are very clear. So it is important that in this particular case, the Attorney General goes and looks into this case again, looks at the case again, and see what charges was brought against that particular person, and make sure that we ensure that the person is charged under Act 995 and the punitive sanctions beyond the assault that was done, which is a grave one. You also throw the book at the person.
Meanwhile, a justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Tanko Amadou, has emphasized the need for the judiciary to uphold its duties and contribute effectively to environmental protection, warning of severe consequences if action is not taken. Irama Smith, TV3 News, Takoradi.
Now, the Upper East Regional Minister, Donatus Akumrugri Atanga, has assured farmers of government's commitment to addressing the challenges facing the irrigation company of the upper region with the aim of boosting food crop production. Speaking during a visit to the Tono Irrigation scheme, the minister said efforts are underway to attract investor support to revitalize the company's operations. Our Upper East Regional correspondent Castro Senyala was there and filed this report.
Since its establishment in 1975, the irrigation company of Upper Region has played a key role in boosting food crop production through the Tono and via irrigation schemes. With 2,490,000 hectares of land and a present farmer population of 4,000, the Tono Irrigation Scheme alone produces an impressive 20,000 metric tons of rice each year, along with thousands of tons of vegetables for both local markets and export. In 2019, the government of Ghana, together with its development partners, invested $19,984,446 in the rehabilitation and expansion of the scheme. But despite the upgrade, farmers under the scheme say they continue to face major challenges.
The cost of inputs are very, very high. Cost of fertilizer, the less you can get is around 450 Ghana cedis, a bag of fertilizer. And we've also observed that if they are given a subsidy for fertilizer, they give only wet season. And we do twice in a year. So at times it's in the wet season that we'll get that support from government, and the dry season we have to struggle on our own.
The Upper East Regional Minister, Donatus Akamokri Atanga, who also chairs the board of the company, assured farmers that the government is working to attract investor support to revive the scheme.
That some of the laterals, because the gravity nature of the water, cannot reach far as to from here to the beam about 18 kilometers away from here. And so those ones will have to engage donor agencies to assist, to see how they can help put in facilities that they will be able to increase the gravitational forces, so that they'll be able to push the water forward to the farmlands beyond here.
As part of efforts to reposition the company, the minister also officially swore in Dominic Anaragide as the new managing director.
I want to also say that I would pledge my fullest commitment to ensure that I collaborate with the staff in a unified, coordinated manner, so that ICOR is put back on its feet. The task, though, is daunting. I am prepared, and I would ask for the support of the key management team and the staff to ensure that we surmount those challenges in the shortest possible future.
For TV3 News, Castro Senyala, Navrongo.
You're still live here on News Central. We're going for another break. When we return, we're back in the northern part of the country, Upper West region to be specific, and then we take you to Nigeria for a bit more. Stay with us.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online, and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Let's take you to Nigeria now, where the country's former president, Muhammadu Buhari, died in London, aged 82, on Sunday, July 13th. Buhari led Nigeria twice as a military head of state and a democratic president. He led the All Progressive Congress to victory in the 2015 general election, defeating incumbent president, President Goodluck Jonathan. It was the first time in Nigeria's history that an incumbent president lost a re-election bid. Buhari was sworn in as president on 29th May 2015. Let's have a quick chat with Professor Anthony Killer. He is a Nigeria governance and political analyst. He's joining us all the way from there for a bit more on this. Prof, good afternoon to you. Let's talk about President Buhari's death. It would appear that there's mixed reactions to this. How is that the case? Prof, we can't hear you. You'd have to unmute.
Voting. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. And I was asking why there appears to be mixed reactions towards the announcement of President Buhari's death.
Oh, yes. There are mixed reactions to it because, whilst everybody in Nigeria, because we're religious people, will feel condolence for their family and say their thoughts and prayers are with their family, that is a personal level. Nigeria is a country of about 200 million people. And most of those people's connection to Buhari is when he was head of state, either as a military head of state or as a civilian head of state, as you recall. He went into power with a lot of promise and expectations. And it must be said that even though he tried his best, he clearly did not leave people happy as head of state. So in a way, he's not going to be missed by a lot of people who saw him as a leader and they themselves as citizens. I think the mixed reaction is due to the fact that humanly, we are Nigerians, we feel sorry in the matter of life and death. But in terms of politics, citizenry and expectation, Buhari is a promise not kept.
I see. What then for those who are outside of Nigeria and observing events in Nigeria, what then will you say Buhari's legacy is?
Well, I think at some point, especially before the elections, before he got into power by defeating the incumbent president, as you noticed, he was a symbol of anti-corruption. People expected him to go into power and once as president to fight the ills of corruption and the ills of insecurity. The symbol of that insecurity was the Chibok girls that were kidnapped in the northern part of Nigeria. He went to power and he didn't achieve any of those two things. Those who support him will argue that things improved, but overall, nobody will argue that the insecurity persists and the ills of corruption are still there at different grades. So as a result, outsiders will also see that this was one person that was thought will make a huge difference. And I think objectively, he did not make it. I think he did his best. I just think his best was not good enough.
It's not good enough. We also know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had sent Vice President Shetima to London to escort the remains of Buhari back to Nigeria. How significant is this move?
Well, I think it's very significant because the signal of that is to say that this is the state burial. There are protocol in place for your viewers who are students of international relations and governance. There are protocols in place of how you address the demise of a head of state. And obviously, President Tinubu is giving him all the recognition. It must be said that, towards the election, they were not exactly the best of friends. I do not think President Tinubu was his favorite candidate. Rather, it seems that President Tinubu won the election regardless of Buhari's support. I think President Tinubu's gesture is a very gracious gesture, going out of his way to be, the very nice man who's magnanimous in victory. And by doing that, politically, I also think he hopes to send a signal to the supporters of Buhari who would then be appreciative of him.
I see. I want to talk about the impact this could have on northern Nigeria. Again, there are those who believe that his influence on that part of the country stood the chance of keeping things together there, while others think otherwise. What could his absence now up north in Nigeria mean for the people who live there?
Well, I think sadly for Buhari, the legacy waned out, the magic died, during his 8 years in power. Before he won that power, mainly in the north, but beyond the north, there was an idea that if you allow this uncorrupting man to get into power, a lot would change. And, this general who fought the Civil War and would be a strong man that would deal with the ills of insecurity, as we mentioned before. But the strong man did not show up at work. What showed up was an aloof man. So his followers, he's a very charismatic person, somebody, people follow and like, and the masses followed him. But I think that hold on the north, he hasn't got it anymore. He lost it before he died. I believe that, obviously, there will be a sizable amount of people who, still regard him as the hero and who blame others for his failures. But I think overall, that hold of vote is not there anymore. There is a vacuum in some parts of Nigeria, majorly the north, of what used to be the Buhari block vote, as it were. And that vacuum will have to be filled either by a single person or by a group of people across that region and eventually across the country as well.
Very well, Prof. We'll end it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Professor Anthony Akila is a governance and policy analyst. We've been talking about the demise of former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari.
Thank you for having me.
Right, let's move away from that. And vehicular movement at the Paga border in the Katsina-Nankana West District has come to a complete halt as angry drivers blocked the crossing in protest of the killing of a fellow driver along the Bogatanga-Tamale Road. The protest has stranded vehicles traveling between Ghana and Burkina Faso, creating a major gridlock. The drivers are demanding swift action from government and security agencies to bring the killers to justice. Upper East Regional Correspondent Castro Senyala, he reports from the Paga border, joined us right now with details. Castro, I see a lot of vehicles parked behind you. What is the current situation in terms of vehicular movement and crowd size?
Yes, Mawena, I'm currently in the parking lot of the Paga border where a lot of the trucks, the haulage trucks usually park. And as you rightly said, behind me, you can see that we have a lot of them parked behind me. This is not for them to rest at all. This is because the drivers have decided today to voice their concerns regarding insecurity on major roads, right from Accra all the way to Paga and then other parts of the country. They say that their lives have constantly come under threat of armed men, armed robbers who attack them, rob them, and sometimes maim and kill them, as we've witnessed in the past few days on the Boga-Tamale Road. And so they have decided to park today to demonstrate and to make authorities understand that they are an essential service provider, and if they should stop, they would, their absence will be felt. Also, they are saying that the current situations happening on the roads are not helpful because they are unable to do their works effectively compared to the other side in Burkina, where they are given maximum protection by the military and the police there. They want the Ghanaian authorities to do same, to increase the number of policemen on the highways and ensure that they are able to ply the roads smoothly without issues. And so currently the police architecture within the Kastanakana West District, that of the Customs Service and other security agencies are engaging the leadership and, in fact, members of the drivers here, majority of whom are Burkina nationals, to try to understand, their frustrations and also to calm them down and assure them that they will do what they can to, mitigate the issues and to provide a conducive road for them going forward.
It's important.
They aren't allowing me to film them, but just behind me, you see that there's a mass of drivers there just behind me. And you can see the police and other security agencies there trying to engage them and talk to them to understand the situation and let the angers down and immediately take their trucks and cross into the border. We also understand that on the other side of the border too, some drivers are parked there and they are also not willing to come in because they say that their safety is not guaranteed. And until the police administration and other security agencies take proactive measures to address the issues, they will not work. Back to you, Mawena.
Right. Castro, it's important. You mentioned there's a meeting of some sort ongoing between the police and then these drivers. What are their immediate demands outside of the fact that they want investigations carried out into these killings? Are they asking for police protection as well?
Yes, Mawena, they are asking for very rigorous police protection, and they are asking that a lot more of not barriers per se, but patrol teams be mounted on all major highways, right from Tema to Paga. They are not particular about what is happening in the region or other regions, that they just want police to increase their numbers as far as patrols are concerned, right from Tema all the way to Paga. They are also asking for police to also stop harassing them on the roads, because according to them, some of these things are what delay them on the highways and they fall victims to some of these attacks by armed robbers. And so they want the police stopping them on the highways, especially at night, to come to a stop. They are suggesting that the security agencies and that of the government should draft a sort of a sticker like what they see in Burkina Faso, which can be put in front of their windshields, so that when they get to police barricades or police intersections, they would stop. They wouldn't stop them at all, so that they can have a smooth passage and go to wherever they are going. They have vehemently said that, look, the police continue to harass them on the highway. They have spoken to the hierarchy of the police, but it appears that their concerns are going unnoticed. And so they want patrols and the police harassment on the highways to stop.
Right then, Castro, let's hear from the drivers you've been interacting with. That's my colleague Castro Senyala. He's been interacting with a number of the drivers as well. Let's hear from them.
Police no so police no do no anase police no ka be wo hokra na transit sticker na abo kana ni ma eni kwa se police stop wo mo omo free Burkina ena ewura Ghana se wo san free Ghana so wura Burkina ma obi angina omo kwan so ye omo hwe no anase se omo nim se omo mbo omo ban dia omo be yi omo cars na akolome anase Kodiva na omo security no enti
and those are some of the drivers interacting with my colleague Castro Senyala. Castro, once again, thank you very much for those details. That's it from us this Monday afternoon with News Central. I am Mawena Egbeta.
And I am Kameni Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye from us.